good afternoon. This is Mother again from Hearts&Minds Development Center. Being Whole, Being Me Series 90. Healing a Gift. That's like 9 more sessions to go. And it's a privilege today. And if you realize this is actually a pre-recorded version, because number one, I would be in class today, but I'll be joining you live should you have any questions. And today is special because will I use the word privileged? I am privileged. We're very privileged when you have a young lady who's as young as she can be to, young enough to be your daughter, and who can also be a friend and a confidante. Tells you how mature she is. Okay, don't conclude I'm immature, but yes, you can conclude this young lady is really mature. But what I really admire about Manesha is this. Manesha worked with me for a very short time, but I just love the guts that she has to listen to herself, make very difficult decision. And I've been waiting 2 years for this interview, really, literally from the time I started, because every time I popped up, hey, when can I interview you? Manisha was humble to say, I don't think I'm ready for this interview because I haven't done something so significant. So obviously, she thinks she has done some significant stuff because she finally agreed. Or she probably agreed because we are going to end the show. But without much ado, let's bring in Manesha Puvanaguroo. Hi, darling.
Hi, good afternoon, Malar.
It's very difficult for you to hold the auntie. I understand, Manisha. So yeah. So welcome to Being Whole, Being Me, series 90. And thank you for saying yes. And I'm glad that you're in between break that you could say yes to us. Now, so it's very interesting when we were trying to prep for this session. We were trying to think of a topic, right? And we decided healing is a gift. And what would be really, really nice, I think we've seen what a rich life you have had, right? From Bharatanatyam to Arangetram to looking boyish and wanting to be a doctor, and then moving on to psychology and, being a therapist, right up to you now pursuing a master's. So that's like such a rich, beautiful journey. Right? So let's start off with getting to know you a little bit and try not to be humble, just be yourself. Okay. Okay. And I love that, Manisha. Okay. So help us understand, right? So maybe you can give us a bit of a background for, especially for the young people who are listening, number one. Number two, for parents like me who are also listening, who have children like you,
Mm-hmm.
who won't listen to our dreams, you need to pursue your own dreams. I think so. There are two parts to that, as to there would be young people who might be in your space. So let's take through. So tell us a little bit about first your childhood and how you were groomed to be a doctor.
Okay. All right. First of all, thank you very much for having me. I think it's my pleasure to be here. And also, I think Kirtana has done a great job in going through my social media and coming up with extra pictures and everything. So thank you so much for that lovely video. Like watching that, I was like, yeah, I went through all of that and it was very nice to watch. So thank you so much, Kirtana, and thank you so much, Auntie, for for having me. It's really, really a pleasure. So yeah, when I was to begin my story, since small, like all I hear is that my mom saying, "Okay, you have to be a doctor and all." And you know how like Indians they go and see astrology and things like that, right? So even the astrologer said, "Oh, this girl will become a doctor," right? So that was like at the age of, I think 9, somewhere around there. They've already like established that fact. So always in my head, okay, I'm gonna become a doctor, and that was my goal. And
Mm.
funny enough, like at some point I think I also wanted to become a teacher. And I remember like every year in report card the class teacher will ask us like, what do you want to become, like give us 3 options. So there was one year teacher went number 1 and doctor went number 2. And then my mother was like, why is teacher number 1, why is this doctor not number 1? So we had a whole thing there. So yeah, from then, and then it was always like doctor, 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 until And then that's why I actually pursued my foundation in science in Manipal. That was because right after I'm done my foundation, and then the plan was to go to Malacca, Manipal for my MBBS degree. And then came the day where I was finally done with my foundation. It's just 1 year. And then it's like, okay, now it's time to enroll in my degree. While I was going through my foundation itself, I started to realize that I don't actually want to become a doctor. I wanted to study medicine is because I wanted to become a psychiatrist. And then I found out that just the 5 years of medicine alone is not enough. I'm supposed to like work, I do housemanship for 2 years, and then another 2 years, and then only I can like major into my psychiatry, And then I was like, do I read? You see, I cannot see blood. I run away from blood. Anyone get injured at home, I'm the first person to run away. Okay? If I see someone puke, I puke. So looking at all that, I didn't think that I could become a doctor, because that wasn't really my passion. Actually, my passion was mental health, and so it was very hard for me to imagine myself going through so many years of doing other things and not what I really really want to do. And that's when I decided, okay, medicine is not for me. But at that point, there was still, I mean, today, until today, there's still stigma on psychology causes and psychology itself. But that time, when I was done in my foundation, it was even worse, because they were like, oh, there's no future for psychology in Malaysia. And there was also a part where there were people telling me, oh, those who don't know what to do, those are the people who will actually go and pursue a psychology degree. So all these things were being put on me, and I was like, and then my parents also weren't very keen, because of all these feedbacks they're getting. Obviously, they want me to have a good future, and if that future is not guaranteed, then they're also not sure, right? So then my uncles were like, you should go study actuarial science. You can get good money from working as an actuary and things like that. I was also I really love maths, like I genuinely love maths. But when you get into actuarial science, that is a different level maths. It's not the ad maths or maths that I learned back in school and foundation. That's like totally a different level. And I think I did not have enough passion and love for those type of maths for me to be able to pursue. But yet I pushed through for a whole year. But I remember going back and forth with you also, telling this is not, I don't think this is what I want. I remember talking to you so many times about it, saying that I'm really struggling. Like, it's not like yes, study wise I was struggling, but also mentally I was like, I wasn't happy, even like back in school or foundation, when I did well or when I didn't do well, I was still happy that I was doing what I was doing. But then, like, for me, happiness is very important, and loving what I do is so important, because I feel like no matter how hard it gets, as long as I love what I do, then it would not be that big of a deal for me. So that was always in my head. And then, like, after 1 year, I remember, like, until today, I remember that I finished my last paper of that year. I called my mother there and there. I cried to her. I said, please, 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 I just don't want to come back here anymore. I just cried to her on the phone, and I'm like, I just don't want to come back here anymore. Please just take me out of here. And then I guess that's when she realized that I've really been, struggling, and I just don't want to do this anymore. So she was like, she was very, very kind enough, and she understood me, and she was like, okay, fine, just come back and tell us, what do you want to do. So then I had, time. I went, I think that's when I went and worked in low visa and things like that, just taking time for myself, trying to really see what is that I want to do, where can I go and do this course, because their concern was that I should be doing it in a university where my future is at least guaranteed, like there's a part there, and things like that. So then I really did my research and finally found Nottingham. At first, like, I chose so the course that I did in Nottingham was psychology and cognitive neuroscience, like that was state, right? So there's a story to it, is because, like, I did not choose, like, oh, because I like cognitive neuroscience. That's not why I even chose that course at the beginning. It was just because it sounded very, like, bombastic, compared to just saying that I'm doing a degree in psychology. So that is why I chose that course, not even knowing, like, what it meant. So yeah, that's how I was doing my course.
Oh my God, you're such a good storyteller. I love the way that, because cognitive neuroscience sounds really smart. sounds
Yes.
like a science program, and anything associated to science is intelligent, right? So you realize that, okay, not only, so if it sounds intelligent, it can guarantee my future. Is it what you thought?
Yes. But funny enough, when we went for the open day, even the lecturers there were like, if you were to do this, if this were to be in your CV or cert, it would look more appealing to, those who want to hire me. So even they were promoting it. So then my parents were very happy to hear that from the lecturers themselves. So that's why it was a go.
There's a science to it. Okay,
Yeah.
Anita Nesimala, this is dedicated to you because I know what you went through letting go. Um, so let's rewind. I loved your story. So let's rewind back in some of the things that you said, right? Because
Mm,
um, and I think one of the best things that you can do for young people like you is, I think sometimes, I mean, parents have their best intention, and I know how intentional your parents have been in helping you to pursue. And I don't think the was it the astrologer, I don't think the astrologer was wrong. He said you would be a doctor and you would be healing. That's
mm-hmm.
exactly what you're doing, just in a different
Correct.
form. We're so used to one form that we don't see another form, right? Now I have to rethink because, maybe my daughter also might end up being a doctor because. All right. So, okay, that's scaring me, but never mind. Put that aside. Now, you keep talking about parents' expectation of a guaranteed future.
Mm-hmm.
Help us understand, number one, from your parents' point of view, what does their guaranteed future look like from their perspective, in your
Mm-hmm.
understanding?
Right. Okay. From what I understand is that they want me to be able to, sustain myself, like having to get a job in the first place and then being able to get a good salary. Because, but it's just that at that point when I was starting, even there wasn't like much of an inflation. But I guess like their futuristic thinking is that, I want my daughter to be able to get a good job. A good job for them is like being able to get a good salary, and also like I guess from them is like, I want to see my daughter like being up there. Yeah, I guess that's what it's for them, like a guaranteed future. Yeah.
Mm. So basically, they didn't want to sponsor your lifestyle anymore.
That is absolutely right.
I think that's every parent's dream, to hopefully guide the child so that they really have a better future than ourselves. And I can say that as a parent, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
is, true success for every parent. So now, so your parents understand your parents' journey, right? And I also understand, if it was difficult for you, it must have been equally difficult for them. And that's why this conversation is really important, because what I admire about you and your parents is that, however difficult it was, you all found a meeting place. Okay. And I didn't contribute, just listening to your stories has inspired me. And that's the part I think I want to unpack a little bit, right? Now, you said this, right? I mean, you did. So, what was interesting is you did your foundation in science and Manipur, preparing you to be a doctor, and what you wanted to be is a psychiatrist. And then you realize, hey, I'm not doing this, right? Which is good. And then you said, the voices said, go and do actuarial. Again, it's for very intelligent people. And I also love the fact that you do it, and then you say, okay, maths is a different level, but I'm not happy. Okay, so help us to understand, how do you, so if there's another young person who's not sure whether they've enrolled for the right program, how does not happy feel? How do you know when you're not happy in your system?
Okay, thank you so much. That's a very good question. It's because like I think many people have asked me this. Like, at what point do you know you're not happy? How do you know you're not happy? So like
Mm,
just like what I said before, right? Like for me, no matter how hard things get, if I'm happy, if I love what I'm doing,
mm,
it's not that big of an issue. Like I would still push through and be like, this makes me happy. At the end of the
mm,
day, when I see like, oh, I can actually get to that point, get to my goal, right? So because I was also, to be honest, I was failing. I failed like 2 subjects in my first semester, and I'm not a person who can accept even a B in my report card. So like failing was a huge deal for me.
Mm.
So when I failed, that really put me down, is because I feel like I know that I was trying hard, but then it was not enough. So that fact that it was not enough, that made me unhappy. And yeah, so I guess like when you, to those who, you're not sure what you're going to do, always think that none of, like, even when I did my degree in psychology and cognitive neuroscience, it was not easy, but I was happy doing it. I loved learning the subjects. I loved learning more. For me, being happiness is happy is like learning new things and being happy to learn. Like even in actuarial science, yes, I learned different versions of maths, but that did not make me like, oh, I want to know more, I want to know more. I was just like, can I just get done with this? I just don't want to know anymore. Like I feel like I knew so much. But with psychology, no matter how hard the subjects got or how hard my assignment got, I was always so interested to know more. Okay, how else can I go about this? Yeah, so I guess that was the difference that I saw
Nice,
in myself. Yeah.
nice. So I'm just going to see whether I've listened to you and understood
Mhm.
you. What I'm hearing from you is that your energy is easily depleted when you're not happy for a difficult task, right? Because
Yep.
you were doing, you said you were giving your best in actuarial, but the best wasn't enough. Not only it
Mhm.
showed up in failure, but you didn't have the energy to persist and pursue and work harder if that was required or whatever that was required. Whereas what you're
Yes.
also saying is that your degree in psychology and cognitive neuroscience was tough. Equal, not equal. We don't. It was
Mhm.
not a easy ride the way people think about it. It is difficult, but you were happy in the sense that you had continued energy to pursue. Number one,
Correct. Yep.
right? So your energy, you have energy to pursue and persist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number two, what I'm also hearing is that you continue to be curious, to
Mm.
want to dig more and learn more.
Yep.
Right? Whereas with your actuarial, it's a tick in the box. Let me just get through the exam. As long as I pass, I'm done. I'm good. I'm not going to do more than what is required.
Correct. Yep.
Is that correct? Now,
Yeah.
so tell us, right, when you were pursuing your degree in psychology and cognitive neuroscience, right, what were some things beyond the content of the program that you became curious about, that you want to do no more?
Beyond the course, like what I was learning beyond it.
So when you are going through a course,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some questions that get sparked when we learn, when you read a book, when you learn something.
Mm-hmm.
It's spark.
Yeah.
You don't have to know that, but you
Mm-hmm.
want to know that because it tickles your heart and say, I need to know more. Right? I'm
Mm.
assuming. Yeah. So what are some things that you became very curious as you were completing your degree?
All right. So for that, like there's a many things actually. I just it's been quite some time, so there's not much I can remember. But I remember, like, let's say when the lecturer is talking about something in lecture, right? And it's just that that's the also culture in Nottingham, is that yes, the lecturer will present, but they also give you all these additional materials where you can go and read, like, journal papers and things like that. So that was something that, back in actuarial science, I didn't really go through additional materials that the lecturer would give. But with this is because, okay, let's say the topic is about social psychology, right? Like how we socialize with people, how animals socialize with people. So when I learn those kind of things, then I want to go back, not only like, like, so I don't know if I can ruin Finding Nemo for y'all, but there was this one story that has stuck by me. My lecturer said that, so these clownfishes, right? Once, so there's like one male and one female. So let's say once they mate and they have babies, but let's say the male passes away or the female passes away, that whichever other okay, let's say there's two male, so one male can actually become a female and mate. Yeah, so they can actually, change their gender in order for them to continue their offspring and things like that. So that was like a very good, I can remember until now, which is like, then, so when I hear those kind of facts, then I want to go and read more about it. And then, like, yeah, I go and read more, and then also, like, just to see, is this real? Like, because it's just that curiosity to know what, does that even exist? Like, is that even real? Then I go and read about it. Yeah. So that was the kind of experience I had when I was doing my psychology degree.
Nice, nice. And I can still see the excitement, and I'm going to also go and read about this clownfish that can change its gender, thus, sexual orientation.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. So tell me this, right? So help us understand. So how how did you what did it take for your parents
Mm-hmm.
to feel your future's guaranteed? How did you what did you do for your parents to feel okay? I mean, I'm sure in the beginning they didn't totally feel okay, and I
Mm-hmm.
understand, right? Especially with the rumors around you, sometimes the noise around you, where you're taking something that's not common or popular, sort of a thing. I know a lot of A students who do psychology go through this
Yeah.
because of the premeditated beliefs about psychology, right? I mean, I'm a psychology fan, so of course I'm biased, and I'm happy to be biased. But moving on, so tell me, what did it take for you? How did you think about it? How did you speak to your parents in a way that they would feel okay?
Okay. So, firstly, the cognitive neuroscience absolutely helped. That's one. And
Okay.
one more is that because I did my degree in Nottingham, right? And Nottingham is a well known university. So, and that was like the second guarantee, like, okay, I'm studying in a well known university. And like the lectures, and I'll be like, no matter what she chooses to do, she can always use this, like, because psychology is a huge, huge field. There's no like one straight line for you. There's so many things that you can get. You can get into HR, you can get into project management, you can get into people management. There's so many things that you can get into. So it's very wide. But what I did was that I made my goal very, very clear that I'm not going to be stopping at degree. After my degree, I want to do my master's in clinical psychology. Like, that was a must for me. So I made it very clear with them that this is my goal, this is my end goal. I'm doing this degree because of this. And also, at that point, like, I was start that psychology was getting better, more awareness. So people were, really coming up and telling my parents, when they tell people that I'm doing psychology, they're like, oh yeah, it's a good, future is here, the future is coming. So people's mindset also started to change. So I guess, like, everything like started to go like touch wood in my favor at that point. So I guess
Okay.
it all took it everything. It just took me like just that one moment to tell them, that I think I'm done with actuarial science. Because the funny part is that even when I was doing actuarial science, and when everyone asked me, so what are you going to do next? I'll always be like, oh, I'm going to do my master's in clinical psychology. And then they would ask, and sorry, then they would ask me, right? Oh, but why aren't you doing psychology now? Then I get stuck. I'm like, that's a good question, but I don't know why. So yeah, when I was like hearing all that, so since then itself, I had the goal that I want to do my master's in clinical psychology. So I guess when I was already doing a degree in psychology, and then made it clear to my parents that this is my path, this is my goal, this is what I want, then they had that, okay, this girl knows what she wants. So I guess that gave them the assurance that, I got it. Yeah.
What is the greatest fear for you when you decided to make this switch?
That if I fail, then that's it. Yeah, that I was just like, very, very afraid of not doing well. But to be honest, I even like put, I wanted y'all to mention that I got a second upper also, because, for me, my goal was always first class, first class, first class. And I got a second upper because the course was really tough and it was not easy, and it was a lot of essay writing and things like that. And I'm very used to blogging, like, last time, the way I write is different, very story-ish. But then when it comes to science, the way you write in science is different. So that's what I was having a struggle with. But the thing is that I'm so, like, for me to be able to tell people that yes, I just got a second upper, and it's not just, actually, I got a second upper and I did not get a first class, and I'm okay with that, is because I was so happy. I was genuinely happy. I was learning, I was doing what I love, and that's what mattered to me the most. So, yeah.
And I love you so much more listening to you speak. And when I look at the video, I also thought this is why it pays to be authentic. It's not just the good things that comes with it, but the things that comes with it that may not be celebrated, and I think you really nailed it when you say, you gave your best shot, you are happy, and whatever the results are, you are happy with yourself. Your results does not make you feel less of yourself, because when you give your best of yourself, that's enough, is what I'm hearing. And you know how much this gives me joy, especially in our series Being Whole, Being Me. I mean, really, really, I mean, I think that's brilliant for us to understand that what's most important, and what I'm learning from you, Manesha, is that what's really important is for us to be true to ourselves first, take
Yep.
some risk,
Yep.
right? Risk it, and success, when you risk, may not look the same
Yep.
when you don't, right? And you have your whole future to ride on, right? Uh, to whatever you're going to come out of it. So thank you very much. Now let's move on to see you inspire me. Okay, I feel emotional now with what you've said. Now you did your tutorial, then you've done your degree. So tell us, right? So in doing your degree in psychology and cognitive neuroscience, help us maybe understand a little bit of what psychology is in lay people's term, right? So if there are young people who are doing their foundation, like my daughter, who's thinking, should I do psychology, right? Or what it is. So for those young people who are not sure, yeah, but the heart is saying that's something I want to do, but there's not enough thinking or understanding to go into it. So give us a brief understanding from your version what psychology means to you as a person who's looking out for a desire in a particular career, and then also what cognitive neuroscience is, if you can. Okay, let's talk about psychology first.
Okay. With psychology, I think, like, in layman terms, it's always about behavior. Psychology is mostly about behavior and how we act and why we act a certain way. But
Mm.
with in Nottingham, right, what was interesting is that I learned the behavior of humans and animals. So that we even had like a field trip to the zoo to go and like watch what the animals are doing and record down and learn their behavior too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole of learning behavior of like humans and animals. And also psychology is divided into many things. So there was social psychology, there was cognitive psychology, there was biological psychology. So these were my subjects in Nottingham. So with social psychology is talking about biases, stereotypes. So these were the topics in social psychology. And then with cognitive psychology is about the brain. So if, let's say, you're feeling a certain emotion, which part of the brain lights up? So that is with cognitive psychology. And then with biological psychology is your changes, and also, like, let's say we also went into like medication, what kind of medications will help and things like that. But it's more to like your bodily changes and all. So that was just like a little bit of how psychology was, but it's very broken down. That's why I actually chose Nottingham also. Not promoting, I'm not sponsored or whatsoever, but it's because of how they really broke down the subjects into different components. So when you learn that part, like when you're learning biological, all you learn is about that. And then when you learn neuroscience, so neuroscience, coming to cognitive neuroscience, that's about brain. It's like fully about brain, how the brain functions when a certain behavior is happening and things like that.
Mm.
also how the brain how to say have perception on illusions. I'm sure, like, we've seen all these illusions that we have online, right? That I'm not sure if you've seen that blue dress or gold dress, or the line, Muller Lyer lines. Yeah, so illusions, we learn about how the brain perceives illusions. So this is under the cognitive neuroscience component of it. So yeah, that's pretty much the summary of my
It
course.
sounds like you're basically breaking down different the complexity of being a human and what we need to understand, because I think when it comes to when we talk about human behavior, we have a tendency to think it's very binary, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
either a good person or a bad person. You are either smart or stupid.
Yep.
My children's favorite line nowadays: we are all on a spectrum.
Oh yes.
That's my daughter's favorite line, and my son hates it. Uh, yeah, because we what's life teaching us, what science is teaching us, we are a lot more complex and unique. And
Yep.
so it's really while we're trying to understand people's behavior so that we can connect and bring the best out of us and our relationships for whatever purpose, I
Mhm.
think what you're doing, what you're telling me is that psychology is really an understanding of the different parts that makes us behave the way we behave, at
All right.
least for ourselves first. And when we can't, we go to people like you, and you will help us to figure that out.
Yep.
It is quite a good summary, don't you think so?
Yeah, I'm actually quite happy. I feel like, did I really explain that well that you were able to get my whole course just in
Yes,
like two
you did.
minutes? Yeah.
You did.
Yay,
I,
thank you.
because that's what I'm getting, right? Because it's just different parts of humans. Okay, fantastic. Now, so tell us now. You did say that you went into becoming an ABA therapist. So, what is ABA, and what is ABA therapy?
Okay. So ABA is applied behavioral analysis. So I was an ABA therapist for a year, and ABA therapists are therapists for autistic kids mainly. So I was dealing with autistic kids. To make it very, very simple, ABA has three main components, principles, that is breaking skills down, positive reinforcement, and repetition. So this was the three main components. So with breaking skills down is that, because the way autistic individuals like perceive the world is very, very different. They're not, born with all these skills. So what we do is like, so to make it in layman terms, right? When you want to learn the car, what is the your tutor teaches you first? Like, okay, they tell you, okay, this is the steering, this is the back mirror, this is the side mirrors, these are the tires. They really break the skills down for you, and then first you learn to, okay, when this is acceleration, this is brake. So it's really breaking down. I always tell this, like, it's like learning how to ride a bicycle, is learning how to drive a car. When people teach you, they really break the skills down for you, because they want you to be successful in what you're doing. They want you to be able to drive safely, they want you to be able to ride the bicycle safely, right? So that's exactly what we did for these children, is that we really break the skills down for them. If it's teaching them how to wear a t-shirt, right? So we start from, okay, you wear the right hand first. Every time you practice the same thing, so when they do it right, and then they get a reinforcement. So that comes in like stars. First, we give them stars, and then finally, once they've collected the amount of stars, and then they can get like a timeout, or they get a toy, things like that. But like what your daughter said is so true. We are all on a spectrum, okay? And same goes to autistic individuals, right? They're all. It's called autism spectrum disorder, because they're all on a spectrum. So then it's different for different children. They have different struggles. With autism, it's more mainly about socialization and some skills that they are not really there yet, right? So that's what we do. And mainly with ABA, our aim is to that whichever kid it's possible for them to get into school, so we get them school ready. So we teach them how to socialize with friends, we teach them how to write. So it's well, like a whole program, but it's very, very specific to that kid. So this set of programs will not work for other children. So it's individualized in that sense.
Can I just stop you there for a
Hmm.
bit? So you said three things. I missed the third one. Skill,
Hmm.
positive reinforcement. What's the third one?
Repetition.
Making it into a habit, right?
Yep.
Okay. So are you done? Do you have
Yeah.
some done? Okay. So what I'm picking up is this, right? So I love the fact that you worked with autistic children, right? Because and I love the fact that you have a gift of making things simple because I can understand,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have a simple mind. Now you said these three things, and one of the I think most powerful thing for me is the way you said with the kids you were working. Number one is you every intervention is personalized to where the kid is, right? And getting them to the next phase of normal, which is
Mm-hmm.
school,
Yep.
right? Which is sad, right? Because if you're not school ready, then you fall into being not normal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fine. But I want to pay attention to the three things that you said, especially skill, right? You said we break down the skills
Mm-hmm.
to a point of, as simple as it can be for the child to understand. Now, I am just wondering, moving from autism
Mm-hmm.
to non-autistic children. I'm
Yep.
trying not to use the word normal because we're
Mm-hmm.
all on the spectrum, right? Because
Yep.
in the past, in my growing years, right, and I'm very sure I'm on the spectrum because I wasn't smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there must be some difficulties that I had. I know I probably
Mm-hmm.
dislike, right? Now, having said that, right, do you think that if we applied the same principle
Mm-hmm.
for non-autistic individuals or children and individuals, right? That because with the non-autistic children people, we assume that we will know how to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we are able to probably do is we are able to process it in a way that we are able to learn and copy faster,
Yep.
correct? Now, so how do you see ABA
Mm-hmm.
working with non-autistic people, not children?
Good pick up is because I know like moms who were working as ABA therapists actually use ABA on their neurotypical kids. So yeah, so it does work. And also to add on to that, I do use ABA for my puppy also. So it's not just typical just for autistic kids. ABA works for every single person. It works for myself too. I also use because it's about breaking skills down, positive reinforcement, and repetition. Practice makes perfect. So when it comes to even dance, right, learning a dance routine, a new dance routine is just that. Yeah, you break skills down and then you give yourself reinforcement. Like, okay, let's say if I get this done, I get to have like an ice cream, I get to have a break. And then I repeat that. That's when I can be good at it, right? Like practice makes perfect. So I guess like each and every one of us we are doing ABA in our daily lifestyle. We're just not very aware that that's what we're doing. So what we do is that we take that skill and we really, you know, do it do it for the autistic kids. But pretty much it actually I think works for everyone. It does not even need to be kids, even adults. When you want to learn something new, I guess that's the basic of everything, right? Like making it so easy that you're able to be successful, and then you give yourself reinforcement for it, and then you repeat it so that you become perfect at it. So yeah,
Nice. So you've triggered something in me before I move into all the offerings that you're giving. You said we break it down to make it easy,
mm-hmm.
correct? When something seems easy, we learn fast and we excel. When
Correct.
something seems difficult, we may get caught that it's complex. It is complex for
Yep.
us,
Yep.
for the individual. It's complex. And that's when we may think we're not good enough and we may give up because we're not willing to persist. Now, there is a school of thought that values and celebrates what's difficult. Because what is easy may not be valuable. It's like how they think of psychology course until they do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, it's like even drawing, we
Mm-hmm.
don't appreciate people who draw well, and because we don't value the
Yep.
skills that go into it, right?
Cool.
Yeah. So where's my question going? So what are your thoughts about the importance of making learning easy so that one experiences success compared to making learning difficult and complex?
Right. I think you put it so nicely just now, saying that when it's easy, we are more prone to success. And then we're like, oh, that's easy. I can do that. And then you keep going on. You're more motivated to do it. And that's just the same for autistic individuals. And I feel like every other individual. But talking from the point of autistic individual, right? The world itself is really hard for them because,
Mm.
like, they are living, like you say, in a world where most people are neurotypical, and it's not accustomed to them, and I don't know why it's really sad that they have to adapt themselves into our world, and it's not and not like we adapt ourselves into their world. So life itself, like going into with autistic individuals, everything overwhelms them. The brightness of the light, the sound, the color, everything. Imagine having to process all of this, and on top of that, they have to process new skills. So if we're not going to make it easy for them, at least when they're learning a new skill, then that is going to make them frustrated, and they're going to be like, you know what, I give up, and then they're going to get into a meltdown. So making things easy for them, it is very, very important, because we don't want to overwhelm them any further. So that was what was very important in making things easy for autistic individuals. And I think even for me, or everyone, even for you, when you learn something, I feel like making things easy makes everyone's life easier. I don't believe in the notion saying that only when things are hard, only then you will learn, you will go for it. I don't really believe in that. It's because I feel like I said, right, like when talking about like my degree, even when like the psychology degree was hard, but because I was happy, it was easy for me. So I guess like
I think what we need to probably do at this point, because you're so good at making it easy for us,
mm-hmm,
um, define easy. Because
that
you're using the word easy and hard
mm-hmm,
interchangeably, right? But
yeah.
so when you say easy, doesn't mean it's effortless, right?
Yes, it's just that
Easy.
higher chance of success.
So what I'm getting from your easy is that when this is what I'm getting. When
Mm-hmm.
it's easy, I can get it.
Correct. Yeah.
When it's not easy for me, that means when I don't get it, I may, even however much hard work I put in, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense in my world as I'm getting. Because I think it's easy to think that easy means it's no effort, but I think you're
Mm-hmm.
not saying that, right? Is that
No.
correct?
Yep. Yep. It's not that. Yeah.
Brilliant. You see, that's why I love you. Now, let's move on. We only have 10 more minutes, so I want to make the
Mm-hmm.
most out of your brilliance here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
moving forward now, so I think your work with autistic people has really benefited. At least I know it's benefited me, because I think if you, so when we teach, sometimes you only realize how much you understand when you can teach people who have the least understanding. So if you can make it easy for them, then it's easy. So teaching for me primary is more difficult than teaching secondary sometimes. Of course, there are
Mm-hmm.
different issues, right?
Yep.
Now, but you've done so much, and now you're pursuing your master's. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In clinical psychology.
Yep.
Okay. And you did say that, hey, you are now looking forward to working with adults.
Yep.
Right. So tell us your transition from your degree, right? What you've
Mm-hmm.
learned, what you've experienced, how it is, how you're using that to navigate into your future. So tell us your future plans, why you're doing your masters, and what you're offering us. So
Okay.
first,
So.
why the transition? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, like I said, like from at first psychiatry said, right, and then I learned that I can become a clinical psychologist. So then that's why I'm doing my master of clinical psychology in order to become a clinical psychologist. And my degree, yes, it has given me the basis of knowledge, and my work, like as because I worked with the autistic kids, and then that got me understanding. Because yes, I was working with autistic kids, but it was not just that. I had to also work with the parents. I have to communicate with them like what has happened, and hear from them like what's happening at home. So it was both learning how and learning about autistic children, and also parents who go through what they go through having special needs children, right? So that was one thing, that experience has helped me in my master's. So when the lecturer is teaching me something, I feel like I can understand better because I've had that experience, a real life experience on how what people go through and things like that. So that is helping me in my master's. And doing my master's, I'm also having the time of my life. It's not easy because at this point I am actually juggling between studies and also having to see clients. So in clients, I mean, for because I'm doing my internal practicum now, and I'm doing my Master of Clinical Psychology at Taylor's University. So we accept clients from who are children, like as young as 1 year, 18 months old, up to adults of any age, like whoever wants to come in, you're welcome. So for children, we do psychotherapy, therapy, and assessments. So for children, let's say if you feel like your child is not doing very well at school and you're not sure why your child is not doing well at school, or maybe if your child is having difficulty socializing, then you can come and check with us. Okay, why is it my child is having difficulty socializing? Or you want to, talk about the behaviors your child is having at home, and you cannot understand what are these behaviors, where is it coming from, and why is your child acting a certain way, then you can come for us for that. And that's for children. And you can also do assessment. So let's say if you feel like your child have some difficulties and you want to understand what kind of difficulties, then we have IQ tests, we have any behavioral assessments too. So that includes like autism assessment and ADHD assessment, dyslexia assessment. So all these assessments are also we are providing. And then for adults, if you are going through depression, if you're going through anxiety, and if there's something that's happening with you that you don't understand, like why am I feeling so low, why is it that sometimes I'm feeling so low, sometimes I'm feeling so high, and I'm not able to get through days sometimes. So if you want to understand yourself better, and also we also have assessments for adults too, IQ assessments. If you want to know like where's your IQ score, if that is important to you, you can come and have assessments for that too. And then also, but quite a few adults nowadays come for ADHD assessment. I'm not sure, like suddenly there's an influx of ADHD. So quite a number of adults do come in for ADHD assessment. So if you feel like, you have struggled getting through days because there's so many things going on in your head and you're not able to concentrate and focus on certain tasks, so you can come in and talk. And also for teenagers, sorry, I missed out that middle part. For teenagers, if if they're going through anxiety, depression, and also we also provide like counseling services for teenagers who are not sure of their career path. They're not sure what they want, if they're unsure, like which direction to go, and they want to really understand what is it that they like. Instead of me, I sort of wasted my parents money a bit doing the wrong course at the beginning. So if you would like to save your parents money and really understand what is it that you want, so we can also come and help you and make a plan for that for your future. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to try hard to summarize this
Okay.
and tell me whether I'm on the right track. So, if any one of us, 18 months and above,
Mm-hmm.
have struggles and we think the struggle that we're experiencing, one, is not normal.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I have a child and a child can't do something that I think is supposedly normal and I'm concerned, I now can reach out to you and your team of people
Yep.
who are offering these services at is it a nominal rate or a much reduced rate, right?
It's yeah, it's
Yeah, so
much
we will,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah, it's much reduced, very very cheap.
much reduced rate, much
Yeah.
reduced rate. So we will be putting in a Google form. Should you
Mm-hmm.
want to get in touch with the group of uh, people who are offering these services at a much reduced rate, get in touch. And of course, since you've listened to Manesha, if you specifically want Manesha, because I'll only want Manesha for my children and for me, and maybe not for me, like for my children now. I want to preserve my whatever, right? Please get in touch, click the form, connect, and if you want Manisha, just put your preferred name as Manisha. Now, so and that being an advertisement for the reduced rate of healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we are calling it gift. Now,
Yeah.
having said that, what you're saying is that if I'm an adult, if I'm a teenager, at any point, it seems for me that everybody seems to know the answer. The normal people know the answer, but I don't know the answer. The normal people are able to do it. I'm not able to do it. So it could be any issues. Me being single,
Mm-hmm.
me wanting to be single, that's considered not normal, right? Or me not being able to choose my path, and everybody says, how come you don't know what you want to be? Because the
Yeah.
normal is you should know what you want to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be that, to a point of a child not probably reading as quickly that as normal children read, or walking, running, doing physical stuff that what is considered to be normal. So any form of challenges and issues, number one, if you see someone you love under your care going through it and you want clarity and you want to figure out how to get help, contact Manisha and the team. Or as a person, I think I'm not normal because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
able, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm not able to do to juggle and do things that other normal people do, which leads into then anxiety, depression, da. Also, Manisha and the team can help, is what I'm hearing. That was a
Yeah.
long summary. Did I summarize it
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah, can I just add on one more? If
well?
you're also a couple who is going through issues in your relationship and you would like, a third party to be there to mediate these issues, then you can also reach out to us.
Okay.
So yeah, as a
Anything
couple.
that's not that's considered normal, because we're assuming couple relationship things just work out. So anything
Um,
that's not working out, that doesn't feel normal, and you want to bounce it off with someone who can help you find clarity or maybe skills, is where you reach out to Manisha. Actually, just reach out to Manisha if you feel like having a chat and having uh, affirmation, right? I'm so
yep.
glad I can do that without filling up the form.
Yeah.
So Manisha, thank you. Thank you very much. Last question.
Mm,
How do you think your journey is one shifting your world, and how those shifts in your world is shifting the people's life that you're touching every day? So one is the shift in your own world.
all right. Like the title says, healing is definitely a gift because I came into psychology because I had my own issues that I want to deal with too. And I feel like now when I see my clients and as they heal, I'm actually healing too, to be very, very honest. Because when they come to me with their issues, right, and I'm like doing research on how I can help them, subconsciously I'm actually helping myself too when I find like these tools that helps them. And I'm like, when it comes to anxiety, I am a very anxious person. So when I help my clients who have anxiety, I feel like I'm also healing. And when I hear them saying that they're doing much better, that heals me, because I feel like when I'm healing people, I'm healing too. And hearing them say themselves that they are getting better, that helps me too. So yeah, that's the shift in my world right now. I feel like I'm doing much better mentally after being able to go through this course throughout, is because I feel like I'm becoming stronger mentally. And sometimes, like most people actually who do I'm speaking for myself, but I started psychology is because I have this line that I want to end with, that your physical health and your mental health is not separate, it's one. Is because when you're well mentally, you can be physically well too. And when you're well physically, you can be mentally well too. So it goes hand in hand. It's not separate. So just like how you go and get a blood test done, please do get your mental health checked too, and then that will make a huge difference in your life. So thank you
Right.
so much for having me.
Nice, nice. So you've actually just summarized why we call our series Being Whole, Being Me. And you've put both together. So Manisha, thank you so much for your really very precious 1 hour, but most importantly for breaking it down for us to really understand who we are, and how understanding ourselves and getting help is okay to understand ourselves a little bit better, right?
Yep.
And for us to pursue a beautiful life, a fulfilled life, and through healing. So thank you very much. I wish you all the best in your future. And I'm sure if we are running such series, we'll be calling you back and you won't say no to me. With that, thank you very much. I wish you, and I'm sure everybody else is wishing you all the best, and you know how to connect with Manisha. So as we said bye to Manisha, I hope this week's episode was as inspiring as you saw Manisha smile with joy whenever her heart was so fulfilled. So connect with Manisha, stay tuned with us, subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify so that we can bring you more wonderful, amazing speakers who are just in our space in Malaysia and Singapore. With that, this is Malar signing off for this week. Being Whole, Being Me, Series 90. Till I meet you next week with another interesting guest. Bye.